I want to demonstrate Lab 8. Lab 8 is going to be a little bit different than the other labs because there's lots of ways to do it, and it's up to you to choose how you want to implement the interface. I provided kind of a simple boilerplate. If you just want to use that, you can. You'll still get 100% on the lab. But if you want to get extra credit, then you can go whatever direction you want. You can make a GUI using a different programming language. You can build on an example I gave you and add to the features you need to. So I'll show you the base implementation and what it needs to look like for you to get 100%, but then it's up to you to improve upon it if you want to get the extra credit. So up in the top window here, I have Mosquitto running, my MQTT broker. This will be running on lundrigan.byu.edu for you, but you can also run it locally if you wanted to. You have to install it, of course. Then here, let's first bring up our just usage message. So just run chat without anything. This should look the same as every other lab. It's expecting a net ID, so it gives you an error saying, hey, I was expecting a net ID. One new thing to this lab is it also has an option of providing a name. This is the name that will be displayed when you connect to the chat server and when you type in messages. If it's not provided, you can see it's optional here. It's surrounded by the square braces. So that means it's optional. If it's not provided, then your net ID will be your name. If you want your name to be different, then you need to provide it as this option. Okay. So let's run it. Okay, so right away we see some interesting things happen on the broker. Now, if you're not running your broker local, you will not see any of these messages because you don't have access to the log messages for the broker. But I want to show you just to illustrate the point. So first, when this person connects, they specify a will. That's a requirement of this lab, is you have to specify a will saying that when you disconnect, it should send out a offline message. Next thing I do is I subscribe to two sets of messages. First is the message topic. The plus here means that anything, it's a wildcard for, it can be anything right here. So this is any net ID / message. I will receive a publication for that. And then same thing with the status messages. So all messages that are typed in will be published to the /message topic. So your net ID / message. But any status updates, such as going online or offline, will be published to the /status topic. Okay, so let's type in a message. There you go. So nothing very exciting happening here. You'll see that the message did get published out. Here's the anatomy of what this should look like. Is it needs to contain the time that this was published. Right there, the person that published the message. So since I haven't provided a name, it's using the net ID, and then the message itself. Now feel free to do whatever you want here. Be creative as you want. This is just what I chose as the base implementation. You don't have to be creative if you don't want to. You can just do this. I don't think it particularly looks very good, but it's up to you. Let's type another message. So the time has changed. Same person. So that's what it should look like when no one else is connected. Now let's bring up another different client over here. Let's provide a name this time. We'll use the long name. Okay. So a couple things happen. You can see that Dr. Phil is now online. So that's another requirement of this lab, is that you have to show inline in the chat window when people come online or offline. Right here we see that it shows that this person is online. Okay, we can write messages over here. So it's showing the message I printed out. It's also showing the message that was sent to the broker. And they can have a conversation back and forth. So you can see back and forth, they can send messages. Now, an important part of this is that when I hit Control-C, and that's how you close out of this, is hit Control-C, this interface, it should show in this message box right here that Dr. Phil has gone offline. So let's run that, Control-C. Dr. Phil is offline because it published the last will for us saying, hey, they're offline. So now if we go back online, it should say that we're online. So that's what the lab should look like. Now, I'll be honest, there's probably bugs in this interface. This interface is not very advanced. You can type things in, but if you type in strange things in it, it probably won't be able to handle those very well. Like if you put emoji or something like that, it's really just ASCII text and backspacing and forward spacing. And so if there are bugs, that are related to the interface, then that's my fault, and don't worry about that. But if there's bugs related to the protocol, then you need to fix those things. Those are the things that you're responsible for. But your job, if you want to have kind of base implementation, is just to hook into the interface I provide. So I provide some function calls for you to call to display a line of text and to receive the input of this message. When someone hits enter, it will call a function that you provide, and then you're supposed to do something with the message. In this case, you're supposed to publish it out. And so it's your job to use this interface to fulfill this lab with the information I provided. But like I've said, you can choose whatever you want to program this. It can be this. This is the simplest example, but you can do something much more advanced if you want to, using a different programming language or a different GUI toolkit, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But this is how it should look if you want to use my implementation.